And now let's get on with the very first big conversation for today. We're talking about the voice. How effective your voice is when it comes to national development, and also, you know, um, I'm talking Africa at large. We have Dr. Maame Nikabs, right? She's a global communication strategist and a coach. And today we want to talk about finding your voice in a changing Africa. Good morning, my lady. You're looking all very pink.
Thank you.
And we like it.
Yes.
Well, talking about our voices, I mean, people have been talking. People, look, we are made to talk, okay? But here in Africa, there are certain cultural restrictions to talking, voicing out. We even see in the Bible, I mean, because it's a Christian station, we see how sometimes even in the church, women are, sort of like told to keep quiet a little bit because maybe you've been talking too much. If you have questions, go home and ask your husband. But, and all of that. So even though we feel that, okay, now we can talk, there's freedom and all of that, freedom of speech, freedom and all of that, there seems to be some subtle cultural restriction, right, to our voices. Is that right with where you're coming from, or I'm only seeing it from a presenter's point of view?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're right by referring to the Bible. And I got excited about the Bible reference because I've actually written a book based on a Bible reference about 5 women who spoke up.
Right.
So it's so true from society generally. Women, if you are marginalized, you're coming from a minority background, it's almost as if we are socialized to believe that not speaking up is respectful,
right,
and being humble as a woman. You shouldn't be too much. You know, our local parlance, the
right,
things we say. So our society, our upbringing, your parents will tell you are a girl, let the boys talk. Even let's look at our homes and look at our little children. How are we bringing them up? Whose voice are we soliciting? Whose ideas are we inviting? And so it's so right. It's such a huge problem. And I think that it's not our fault as women, because that's how we are brought up. That's how society has told us to present as women.
Has that affected us in any way? Negatively, positively?
A lot. I remember going to school in Ghana, we were told that ladies are seen and not heard. Yes. So what that means is that you show up as a lady, but don't be too loud.
Right.
So you can imagine the repercussions of that. I remember even going into university, and sometimes when I want to laugh out loud, I remember that. And I sort of hold myself back and say, I'm a lady, I shouldn't laugh out loud. But what is wrong with laughing out loud? It's unquote, unquote, unladylike. Right. Now let's go to the workplace. Even if you're not in a leadership role, a discussion is going on, and you have something to say. That influences whether you're going to speak up or not. You see, so I think it's more negative than positive.
Right.
And sometimes I think where we get hung up on is using your voice doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive. In fact, women are penalized for using their voice. If you're a woman and you show up confidently, you're tagged as aggressive.
Yeah.
But a man does that and it's fine. So it's done as more harm than any good. But it's time to change that and rewrite the script.
I agree that it's time to change that. Where does the change start from? Are we talking parenting? Because people pick up things along the line, long before they get into the corporate world. They're shaped by education, by culture, by, home settings. So where does the change start from? Who is responsible for the change?
I think, like you said, this is a multi-dimensional issue. So all the various facets need to do things differently. So right from our homes, how are we telling our girls to show up? At the dining table, what roles are we giving our girls? So it has to start from the home. Then let's come to the church. How many women leaders do we have at church?
Right.
How many women are actively, and if you look, it's interesting that you find more women doing the MCs, giving the announcements, so all these quote-unquote
Yeah.
women roles. So right from the home, the church, the schools, if you're a teacher, you're responsible for bringing up people, stop telling the girls to be quiet and expect the boys rather to be loud. Then after that, all of us need, those of us who are already grown, we need to change our mindset and say that, look, my voice matters. That my voice needs to be heard. And why does it matter? Because we all have a contribution to make. You and I will not look at the same thing differently. The same way. We have different perspectives to things. So if I keep quiet, it means that I'm losing out on my contribution. The society is missing out. So we need to make that mindset shift. Then we need to be able to accommodate the men. Give women the chance. When the women speak, don't make them feel, don't penalize. More often than not, women are penalized for speaking up and not rewarded. Look at our meeting settings. Let me take this to the corporate space. There's so many instances where a woman has something to say and she's interrupted by a man. The very same thing the woman is saying, a man says it and he's acknowledged for saying it and the woman is ignored. So what are you telling the woman? That your voice is not needed. So these subtle, little, it doesn't have to be the ground. Let's begin from today. Ask yourself, how am I showing up as a woman? If you're a man, that's why I believe that allyship is important in this. It's not just one person's responsibility. All of us have a role to play in this.
I would want to know, I mean, because you're a global communication strategist, I would want to know your interaction with different cultures, right? And the difference that you see and the gap that you found of Africans, you know, how they're able to express and what they're able to achieve with their voices as compared to other cultures. How's that going? What can we do to change?
I mean, that's such an important, it's a huge difference because by the grace of God, I've had the opportunity to be living in the UK for the past 10 years. And I remember some of my very first experiences when I went to the UK. You know, even in the classroom, I went there to study, and we are told the teachers make the efforts to solicit and elicit our opinions. So we are told that you're not just here to listen to us, but you're here to contribute. Make your voice heard. If you have something to say, say it. The problem is, because we are not brought up that way, we don't, even when we are given the opportunity, we don't say anything. And so it's construed as us being disengaged or not interested.
Right.
But that's not the case. So over there, you are given the opportunity. Say something, what is not working. I remember being a PhD student, all these forms they asked us to fill, I never filled any of them. Because, I mean, no one had ever elicited my opinion in such a way. You know, so... But even a little, so when I take my kids to the playground, you see how a little white child.
So expressive.
So expressive. And it's because sometimes because I'm trained to observe, so I just listen into the conversation. You hear a mom asking daughter or son, we're going to have potato for dinner. Do you like that? What do you think about that? And the child will give a minute and say, oh yeah, I'll love that. Or can we have this rather? And the mother will say, okay, why don't we have this today? Do we do that in our homes? I mean, when I was growing up, who were you to tell your mom, this is what I want to eat?
Let me shift before ask that. Because your mother is like, look, that's what I have.
And that's what you're eating.
Drink, or even eat, just drink what I'm going to
Exactly. So you see, we get there, even when I was given the opportunity, I never spoke. And so I noticed from my experience and the conversations I've had with so many people like myself, is because we don't know how.
Right.
So what we have to do now, right from our educational institution, so one of the things I do is to go to universities and say, look, make this part of the training you give to students, not just the theory.
Right.
But how do they present in the workplace? How do they present in society? How are they moving on from here? Even in the classroom, are you giving students, one of the things they would ask us in primary school, do you have any contribution? All of us will chorus, no, please.
Oh my God.
You see, but I would say, instead of asking, or even in your workplace, instead of asking during the staff meeting, does anybody have anything to say? Ask, have I left anything out? Or if you were in my shoes, how would you have done things differently? So it's just the framing and the language and how we are presenting the same thing would make it more easy for others. So now that there's a gap, we need to support women, show them the how, because there's a how to it. And you find the reverse. I have people say, but dog, I speak up and I'm told that I'm too known. It's because I found it's the how.
The how, very important, and which is something that you need a pen and paper, because Doc is going to have to teach us how to go about it. I've been graced with certain, maybe experiences. So you're able to maybe speak to people. I agree to the how, because even yesterday, we're just in a meeting and I lashed out. What I was saying was the right thing. It was true. They were at fault. But then 2 minutes after, I realized, I could have said it differently.
You could have said it differently. You
Right.
could have made a mark.
Exactly, without, because everybody was watching. How do we restrain ourselves so that our voices are being heard, but we're not too emotional, because that's what it comes with. I mean, it comes with the curves. You can't do anything about it. How do we restrain our emotions and just make objective points as women so that our voice really matters? It's not just making noise.
Such a great point. And so that's why I think I say this. Emotional intelligence is very key in this. So, and what I mean by emotional intelligence is being able to emotionally self-regulate. So before you say something, take a minute and ask yourself, are you saying this from a place of calm or from your emotions? And the problem with voicing out when we are angry is that we complain, we bubble, and we are not clear. We miss out what we have to say. So you need to voice out, yes, speak up, but speak from a place of calm.
Right.
Not when you are angry or you are agitated. So you should know what tips you. That's what emotional intelligence is. You should know what gets you. So can you take a minute, 5 minutes, and excuse yourself? Can you please excuse me for a minute? I'll come back to this. You see,
Wow.
So you need to be able to emotionally regulate.
Take a minute, I'll come back to this.
Yes, and speaking up doesn't mean that it has to be in haste.
Right.
There are instances that you have to speak up there and then. There are instances that it's actually good to take a step back. Because what you always have to ask yourself is, what point do I want to address?
Right.
What am I addressing? And the issue with the complaining is that we only complain about what is wrong, but we don't give suggestion of how we want things to improve. And for all you know, the other person's, and so if you are emotionally intelligent, then empathy as well is important. Put yourself in the other person's shoe. Maybe that person doesn't know a better way, quote unquote, of doing or expressing or whatever it is that is going on that you have a contribution to. You see, so if I was that person, how would I want to be addressed in this instance? And this is something all of us, particularly as women, because it's easy for us to ride on the wave of our emotions.
Right. I agree.
So take the moment. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I need 1 minute for myself. I need to clear my head. And one thing I do all the time, even before I came on set, I did is just take 2 seconds and breathe in deeply and breathe out. You see, by the time you do that, you realize that you are calmer. So this is not about speed, but it's about making an impact, saying the thing and achieving the results that you desire in saying it. If not, then what's the point? You're better off keeping quiet. And so that's why sometimes they don't even allow us to speak, because we just babble on.
And we are hit. So now let's get to the, boardroom, meeting rooms and all of that. when women are in, certain positions, yes, like you said, we're already branded as, oh, you're too no too much, probably slept your way to the top, and you're just doing things to protect it, and all of that. If you find yourself in a space where you are the voice and you are the one to make sure that all the things that you churned out, with your voice, has to be done, implemented. There's going to be emotion attached to it because workers come with different things every time. How in the corporate world are you expected to go by this? And how do you collect feedback to tell that I'm doing great or I'm not doing great?
That's such a great question. And I say that one of the first things I'll say to you is that if you are the voice, make sure you're raising other voices. Because it can be tiring, this using your voice, and if you are the only one, it can get tiring. So make sure that you're not the only one. So if you're a woman in that boardroom, are you raising other women behind you, mentoring others and showing them how to use their voice? Now, the danger here is that, like you said, because the boardroom is much more masculine than feminine, and what we see as boardroom etiquette is much more masculine, the women, in an attempt to fit in, try to lose themselves and present as men. So you find them, some trying to be aggressive. And it's because in the workplace, if you're a woman leader and you're a bit soft, you're considered... If you're not careful, your people will not take you serious.
They'll ride over you.
They'll ride over you. You see, so they have to present as macho and all that. But that's losing your authentic self. There's this thing about women that makes us different from men and how we present ourselves. So I'll say, be your authentic. Don't lose yourself in an attempt to make a mark and leave a legacy. Authenticity is so great because people connect. Look, I always say, try and get to people's heart first before you speak to their minds. Because we are emotional beings.
Right.
So be a woman. We have the skill. God has naturally graced us with the ability to do that. Ride on that wave. Use that as your strength as a woman. And then build others. So when you're not in the boardroom, how you are interacting with other women, and even the young men or the men, you are showing them, telling them it's important to allow the women to also speak. And train the women that it's fine to use your voice. More often than not, when women get to leadership roles, sadly, because they had to struggle and get their way up there, they feel that everyone else has to struggle to get there.
So they don't give opportunities?
They don't give opportunities. And what you're doing is that you're putting yourself in a place where you are alone. And God never meant us to be alone. Right. So raise an army, build allies, train up people. I think there's a second bit of your question that I might have forgotten.
Basically that's it, so that we don't lose ourselves in the process. But how to collect feedback as to whether you're doing good.
Yes, feedback is so important as a leader, because one of our African proverbs says that if you're charting the course or you're going a path, you don't see your back.
Right.
There's somebody behind you who will tell you that your back is not straight, so straighten up. So feedback, how do you receive? And it goes back to being emotionally intelligent, being self-aware. Do you know how your personality type affects how you show up? And I'll give an example. I'm a perfectionist. So what that means is that I find it difficult to take feedback because I put in a lot of work. I believe that everything needs to be done. All the T's and all the I's need to be crossed. So when I've taken the time to do that work and you give me negative feedback, I see it as an attack on my personhood. But it shouldn't be so. It's a way to help me improve on my work. See, so be open to... And it's not enough to say, do you have any feedback? And people give you the feedback and you don't act on it.
Yeah.
Then there's no point in asking. Because people are watching you. So when you ask for feedback, do you implement that feedback? Do you work on it? If you're unable to implement that feedback, can you let them know, considering A, B, C, and D, unfortunately, we can't do this now, but we can do that later. But thank you for that important suggestion. It's such a great one. I didn't even consider that. Then you're signaling to the person that next time, say more, because I'll respond.
Right.
You see, so receive more often than not. We say, I'm open to feedback, open door policy. But in practice, it's not just having it written, it's the practice that matters.
That matters. I see a lot of women empowerment. I've been talking about how there seems to be some sort of excesses when it comes to it. Do you think social media is overpowering us the wrong way?
I mean, when it comes
to voice out?
Yes and no. To every good thing, if it's abused, there is a problem with it. So you remember I talked about the how.
Yeah.
So it's important to voice out, but don't do it in a disrespectful way. And that's where empathy and emotional intelligence comes to play as well. And you're aware of the context. You should be aware of the context. So if you're in the boardroom, for example, or even in a workplace meeting, you have your supervisors who are watching you. These are the people who have the authority to make decisions when it comes to your promotion and how you advance in the workplace.
Yeah.
So you might have an important contribution to make, but how you say it will present you as someone who is disrespectful, who is aggressive, and who is not willing to work with leadership. And so you find yourself staying in one place forever. So the point is, yes, and the other thing with social media is that when we see one person doing something, we tend to think that's the only way. And so all of us want to jump on that wagon.
Right.
There's no point in you being me because you can't be me. Don't forget, the Bible says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So we are unique. So be you. So authenticity is so key. And so it doesn't mean that all of us need to start a YouTube. For somebody's own, it can be writing, because that's where you are good. So look at your strengths and use it. Ask yourself, what am I passionate about? What are some of the things that I see that gets me angry? Maybe you've been called to address that area. There's no way. And you and I might be doing the same thing, but the way I do it, there's a Maame flair.
That's true.
So be your authentic self. Don't copy someone. And in whatever you are doing, says whatever you are doing, ask yourself. Because you're leaving digital footprints. And we've seen recent events.
Exactly.
It comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
So be mindful. So I talk about mindful communication. Be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of what would you want your children or society, when you are no longer here, what legacy would you want to leave behind? And let that guide you in how you present and show up and use your voice.
Wow. So you have the tool to make or make you, and something as simple as a voice. But what are you using your voice for? Who is it impacting? Where are we going? When we look at you, can we tell that, okay, this person has a bright future? You're just talking rubbish. I almost said trash, but I didn't say that. I said rubbish. That's a different way of communicating it.
Yes.
But now that we want to do things right? And I know that we spoke about, the family system, how you make the girl child, speak up and all of that. Do you think our educational system need a bit of tweak to... I know it's a big call, but how then would you advise it's been done? Because, by the time they go to parliament and come back, it's a long way. People would have finished school and lost that part. So how do we do it? Teachers, caregivers, how do we start that process?
I think our educational system doesn't just need a little bit, it needs an overhaul.
Preach.
Because the way we are bringing up the future, the younger ones, is not the best. And I always say this is, do we even have this as part of the social skills that our students, our pupils are provided or given in our curriculums? Because of the work I do, you go to colleges, you go to their websites. I saw a recent job and they were looking for an engagement officer. That was the role they had advertised. And when I read the description, I was like, wow. The role of that person is to support students with building confidence, finding and using their voice.
That's a therapist, though.
Presenting in the workplace and in society. So at the college level, that's part of the curriculum. I gave a copy of my book to my daughter's house mistress in the UK, and she says, "What? I'm going to give this to a copy of your book to our head of pastoral care, because we need to be able to teach our girls how to present and show up in the world." So we need, like we have I've forgotten is it RS or RM? Those
RME?
RME, whatever it is. We need to make this a part of our curriculum. And so I think we even need to make it part of our teacher training.
Right. That's the basics.
That's the basics, because they are the ones who are in the classroom and doing the instruction. So that when they are aware of the need of this, when they are in the classroom, they won't tell or they won't expect the girl child to be subtle in how she's showing up and encourage the boys to speak. Because that's how they have been. So there's a lot of unlearning we need to do. We have to start at the training level and then make it a part. So even at the nurseries, the kindergartens, the heads of schools, let's make this a part of the training. I go to universities and I give talks. I go to churches, the youth, all of us. Let's make this a part of the offer. It is an essential skill. It's not an add-on.
Right.
It's an essential skill.
Wow. So the girl child is going to speak up now, but we're going to do it the right way. So if you're a parent, you want to check it. You want to give your girl, but you know that we also need to be measured, because then we don't want to have an imbalance in the homes where the boys are now suppressed and then the girls are all the way up there, you know, so that there's a fine balance in raising our children, because
you know what?
Our future leaders.
When I was speaking to a youth at ICGC, I think last year, about creating inclusive workplaces, and one of the young men says, but all these laws about affirmative action and blah, blah, aren't the men going to lose out? And I said, no, because you see, right now, the equivalent, there's no balance. The men are here and the women are here. So we need to remove the hindrance. And these are some of the things that we have to do. So it isn't that we are encouraging the woman or the girl child to speak up and then in that way suppress. No. Because diversity of thoughts, that's what we can unlock innovation, creativity, productivity, and advancement. And all these things that are needed to make society move on and become better.
Right.
So both, the woman's voice alone minus the man's voice is not complete. We want both voices.
Wow. We want both voices. Your voice, my voice, building Africa together. Let me take your last words before we go.
Oh.
I know, it's so short. But that's it. Good conversations. I mean, it can like carry so much weight. You may never know that the time is up. But
Yes.
there it is.
Yeah. So I would say that all of us have a role to make in this. If you're listening to me and you're already an adult and you think, oh, my time has already passed. No, your time hasn't passed.
Right.
This wasn't passed on to you. It wasn't part of your socialization. It wasn't part of how you were brought up. So it's better late than never.
Never.
All of us need to unlearn these norms of socialization that we've come to accept as standard in our homes, in our society, in our cultures. If you're head of an institution, audit your communication practices. Whose voice are you calling on? Whose contribution are you receiving? Whose opinions are you validating? Whose ones are you ignoring? And all of us can start in our own small way. Look at your email. How do you respond to certain emails? Whose email do you even respond to? You see,
preaching.
we need to start small. We need to start small. We need to change our mindset about how the woman, the girl child, shows up. We need to be welcoming. And we need to guide them. Remember the gap I talked about? The how is missing. So invest in equipping yourself to know the how and pass that information on.
Right.
If you need help, I'll be more than willing to support.
Great. Well, she is a a global communication specialist, so, and a coach, right? So she's ready to always help you. But then it means that you would have to, where do we find you on socials?
I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. You can get a copy of my book. Oh, actually, I have a copy in my bag.
Oh, okay. So I'm reading. I'll tell you what I read.
You can get a copy of Speak Up, Speak Out.
Yeah.
And you can begin your journey from them. I have a YouTube channel as well where I talk about some of these things.
Oh,
so there
great.
are various ways. But yeah, invite me to your school, your church, your...
Wherever there's a gathering.
Wherever there's a gathering.
Well, Dr. Maame Nikabs, she's a global communication strategist and a coach. And we just scratched surface because we only went into, the family and looking at, all the establishments before you get into the workplace. We haven't even touched on political space, yes, and we're talking about governance because there are certain countries that are ruled by women, and you want to know how are they able to do that? How, they've held their torch. Even here in Ghana, our vice president is a woman. How is she running her office? What can we learn from there? Such a great thing that we need to learn. But this is for the girl child. It comes with a curve, so girl, chill out and enjoy it. We're going to go for a break, but thank you so much for coming.